what advice would you have for those who are, they don't have revenue coming in at really, high numbers, like they might still be juggling a 9 to 5 and working on this. Is there a healthy way for them to do it?
Yeah, there really is, and in fact, for we work with a number of corporations, both entrepreneurial corporations and large corporations, on creating burnout prevention programs, and because there are a lot of best practices that people can do to not only recover but actually prevent burnout, and the key to it really is to first of all to recognize how people actually recover from stress and
Mhm.
that stress is or ought to be a cycle that has a beginning, a middle, and an end, and we go through it completely. What most of us don't do that, however. Most of us sort of stay in this hyper vigilant state, which is also an attribute of post traumatic stress disorder. But we think we have to stay in this hyper vigilant state in order to merely do our jobs. So there are a lot of steps that people can use. In fact, it's the same steps exactly that people use to recover from burnout that we teach to help people prevent it from happening in the first place. And it's true, if you're grinding away and you're working 2 jobs at once, it's gonna tax your energy, but it doesn't have to result in burnout. That's really something else entirely. You may be tired, but you'll recover from that if you're young enough. If you're young enough.
Longer recovery time as you get older.
To change the tone a little bit, Scott, being a serial entrepreneur that you have been, if you were to start a business today, what would that be?
Well, what's really fun is the Burnout Breakthrough program is a business that's come out of our executive coaching program, and we've been doing it now for several years. What's fun is that I've got 2 of my kids, speaking of those little kids, they're now all grown up, and they're in the business with me, and it is really, really fun. They're so talented and enthusiastic, and they're so much better at so many things than I am, especially when it comes to technology, social media, even just understanding Gen Y and Gen Z. They understand that generation so much better and can apply these principles in a way that is much more readily accepted and understood. So that's part of what I'm doing. I mean, one of the things I really see for Gen Y and Gen Z kids is that to be able to control your own destiny is a really good thing if you can do it. To be an entrepreneur, if you have the I don't know, the chutzpah and maybe the insanity to pursue it, it really is a good way to live, especially if you understand how to avoid burnout. It's much more sustainable and much more fun if you could just understand how the human body responds to stress.
Yeah. Well, look, I mean, I think regardless whether somebody is following a 9 to 5 or whether they're not, I mean, I think there's a lot that ties back to the mindset thing you said before. So many people come out of school with a mentality and a learning that is not necessarily cohesive to entrepreneurship at times. So
Yeah.
I do think a lot of that comes in, the reprogramming once more for people to think about that. And, one of the things we're trying here as we homeschool our kids is very much that, like thinking about it that way. And I was talking to a neighbor the other day too. And for him, college isn't necessarily on the books for his kids unless, like there's a specific, one of those degrees that really,
Yes.
need it. And as he said, he goes, no, right now for his kids, instead of going to college, every time they have an interest in something, he's like, great. Now, what you need to do is you need to go find somebody who's willing to let you work under them for, 3
Exactly.
months at least, and then figure out from there, which is usually incredible because to do that, you have to find an entrepreneur who's usually willing to take you under their wing and do it in that direction. Because large corporations see that as too risky, or they want you coming straight into an internship with an MBA or something else like that. But
Exactly.
anyway, I think there's a lot of hope there for people too, but I think it's similarly, the school system was set up a specific way and you come out with a specific type of programming, much like my programming I came out of with my love of sugar. I'll work on stuff.
Yes. Yes. My youngest son, Aiden, runs robotics for a Amazon distribution center.
Okay.
And he doesn't have a college education, but he's received an education running, this robots, program
Right.
that
Yeah.
is, I mean, first of all, state of the art, and secondly, in incredible demand, but he was able to hit the nail on the head.
Yeah. That's awesome. I love hearing that. That's pretty incredible to get into that space. For Art and I, we came out of film school, but as soon as we did at the time, it was DVD that was just starting and blowing up. And it's like, nothing is film school prepared us for that because it was a brand new technology. So sometimes, you go through these steps and things like that, and it's like, it's just so you could say, "Yep, I've got this degree in the can," for whatever that means, so, I you said something earlier, and I'm wondering, maybe this is gonna be too hard to ask for, but you had mentioned the, approach for those who don't like, meditating, such as
Yeah.
myself, um, that is you said it's only, like, 5 seconds, R&R. Is
Yes.
that something that you can teach that quickly,
Sure,
or is that
sure. Yeah, I'll provide a link for the show notes, but this is basically how it works. And in a way, this is, I mean, this isn't a recovery plan in itself, but it's a good illustration of the kind of counterintuitive approach that really, really works when it comes to burnout. So, what most people do when they feel stressed is they either try to fix it or avoid it. And and we fix it maybe by flying into work. A lot of us flee anxiety by working more hours, by working harder.
Mm,
That was always my mo, and it drove me to burnout. Or we may avoid it by any number of ways, social media, or at a worse or a more destructive level with drugs or alcohol or spending or what have you. The thing that is very counterintuitive is that rather than avoid or fix the feeling of stress, which is uncomfortable, is to just be with it. And
mm,
that's really what the R&R technique is all about. This came from an author named Michael Singer, a great, you may be aware of him. He wrote a book called The Untethered Soul. And there was a paragraph in his book that just really touched me, but it's about this idea of allowing yourself to just notice that you're feeling stressed and to just notice it in your body, not intellectually, but just scan your body and notice, as you said, I think it was Art who
mm,
said that they had the kind of the post nasal drip kind of a thing, or the
Yeah.
cough thing, right? I mean, that's the kind of thing that you might notice. So rather than try to figure out, why am I feeling this way and how do I make it go away, to just scan your body and notice where you actually do feel the stress. Typically, it's between the neck and the navel. With most people, it tends to be in the stomach, sometimes over the heart or the sternum, sometimes in the shoulders. With women in particular, I notice that it's in the jaws and the throat and the tongue sometimes. Sometimes men, but more often women. And
yeah,
the instruction of the R&R is simply just to notice it, to be with it, to spend a few seconds not trying to figure it out, not just notice it the way that a scientist would look at bacteria under a
yeah,
microscope, just to see what it is. And typically there's a tingling or a twinge, maybe there's a dull pain or ache, maybe there's heat, maybe whatever it is, just notice what you find. Then and be with it for just a couple of seconds without trying to fix it, without trying to avoid it, and without trying to figure a way out of it.